There we go. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome this morning. It's Thursday morning, June 30th. For those on the podcast, that's the day that we're recording. Welcome to the Digital Influence Show. I get to be the host. I'm Brandon Lee. And I am really, I know I say this a lot, but I am really super excited about our conversation today. So, Bill McCormick is the trust enablement trainer with Selling from the Heart, which I already know a lot of you are going, he's a what? Which is going to be great. We can talk about that. Um, Bill has built and delivered courses on how to build authentic relationships in social. And I think, Bill, we've known each other for about 5 years now through LinkedIn and Zoom. And I can honestly say that Bill is one of the most genuine and good guys I've met through LinkedIn. We've not yet met in a place that we could actually do the hug, but we've had lots of conversations and lots of Zoom hugs. And I'm really, really grateful for Bill to come on the show today. So, Bill, welcome to the Digital Influence Show.
Oh, Brandon, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for watching and those of you who are listening later on. Yeah, it's amazing how many people we know in a virtual environment and, we have a connection to, but we haven't met in person,
Yeah,
right? This kind of new era that we're in, before it'd be like, well, I kind of know that person. I've talked to them on the phone a couple of times. But now in this virtual environment, we get to really know people, even
yeah,
through a screen, even through that little dot that I'm looking at. So
exactly.
very
Exactly.
excited to be here. I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It's
We'll,
new.
I
It's
think
an
we'll talk about that a little bit.
Well, let's jump into the topic because it's one that, as you know, is pretty close to my heart as well.
Mhm.
It's the topic is all sales are social. So how do we sell, or how to sell without selling? Tell me what that means to you, Bill.
So I came up with this not that long ago, probably, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago when I made the shift over to selling from the heart. I kind of got this realization that we kind of silo ourselves in the sales world. I call it echo chambers. We're very familiar with echo chambers in social media. If you go on Facebook, especially right now, between liberals and conservatives, they get in their own echo chambers, which are these small communities or thought processes that they have, that everything that they consume backs up that preconceived thought. Everything that all decisions they make are around that preconceived thought. And I thought, we do that in sales. We have people that say cold calling is the only way, or social selling is the only way, or email marketing is the only way, or you always have to do this. And you're using words like always, never, there's another one I can't think of right now, but there's three, or yeah, always and never are the ones we use the most. Then we get ourselves locked into this train of thought. But really, when you think about it, we, in today's society, and especially in today's business world, we have to take an all-consuming approach. We have to use all mediums. We have to look at all options. I liken it to a golf club, golf bags, right? So when you go to play golf, you have on a regulation bag, you have 14 golf clubs. And depending on the situation, you're going to use the club that makes the most sense. You're never going to use your driver off of the tee box, unless maybe you're Tiger Woods. He might be able to hit it that far. Maybe not now, but
You mean the putter? You mean a
did I
putter
say
off
the
the tee
driver?
box?
I did that before, and thank you for correcting me. The
It's okay.
putter the putter off of the tee box. You'll never use the driver on the green, right? Because you're
Right.
going to use the club that makes the most sense. Well, the same as we're talking about outreach. There are going to be times you're going to have to use the phone. There's going to be times that you're going to put some stuff out on social and you're going to socially engage with people. I don't want to use the SS term because of your shirt. But then there's going to be times when you're going to use email. And there's going to be times that you're going to reach out to someone via video. You're going to have a Zoom meeting with them rather than meeting them in person. All of these different ideas are social. All of it's social. And
Right.
so when we're doing that, we give ourselves the best chance of success because we're not putting ourselves in one silo. Just yesterday, I saw a report that came out that said that a portion of some part of the government the U.S. government is asking Apple and Google to take TikTok off of their app stores because of some concerns they have because it's owned by the Chinese government. There are people that have set their whole careers, their whole income stream on TikTok. Imagine if that happens. So when we just have one silo and that's all we're willing to use, and then we're really limiting ourselves. I think about 2 or 3, the year before the pandemic, so it was probably 2019. I remember seeing several very well-known sales trainers saying how bad it was to be using LinkedIn for sales and that you had to use the phone. These are people that you would recognize, and I respect them immensely. But based on that time where we were, they were like, look, it doesn't work. You have to do this. A year later comes the pandemic. They all have now courses available how to use LinkedIn for sales, right? So they progressed in their thinking, and that's what we have to. When we break out of the echo chamber, we become open-minded to new ideas, to new ways of thinking. Like, wow, I never thought about that before. Yeah, maybe I have to actually pick up the phone and call someone. I've sent 18 emails and they haven't responded to any of them. Even the ones where I said, just bumping this up to the top of your inbox. They haven't responded. What should I do? Try to pick up the phone. Try to go knock on their door. Try something new. That's the whole idea behind my new newsletter on LinkedIn, which is called All Selling is Social, where I'm bringing these whole ideas that we have to really broaden our horizons and start looking at many different ways that we can reach out and have conversations with people, because that's really what we're trying to do. You know, I can't sell to you until I have a conversation with you. I have to get to know you. I have to find out more about you. And that could possibly lead to a sale. It's always going to lead to a point where I'm going to be able to help you in some way. And maybe helping you is saying, hey, Brandon, we're going to be friends. And that's it. So that's my idea behind All Selling is Social. We really have to open up the horizons of our mind to start thinking about using all the mediums that are available to us.
Yeah, and that's great, Bill. And when you talk about the mediums, and you've referenced picking up the phone, you've referenced email, you've referenced social. What I know about you, so I'm just kind of teeing this up, but it's not just the medium or the channel, but it's how you show up. You want to speak to that? Because I could pick up the phone and just leave bad voicemails and it's not going to work. Or I could send emails and they're, sell, and they don't work. And I can go into social media and just post things about me, and that doesn't work. I know this is your sweet spot. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was a 911 dispatcher before I got back into sales, and I was actually a trainer, and we used to train new dispatchers on the communication cycle. So the communication cycle is you have a sender that has a message, and they use a medium to send that message to a receiver. And then once the receiver receives that message and translates it and provides feedback back to the sender, that's the full communication cycle. It doesn't happen until you've received feedback. And that's why it's a circle. And so it's basically a 3-legged stool. You have the message, the medium, and the receiver. And we have to think in terms of this as we're selling. What is our message? What is it that we're saying? And if we're saying, Brandon, we help companies just like you, or you're saying something, some guy reached out to me today and said, I'm just jumping into the digital transformation of 2022 and can't wait to discuss SEO with you because I see, and I said to the guy, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what the digital transformation of 2022 is. And I don't do SEO, so I don't know why you sent me that message, right? So the message has to be clear, and it's got to be about the other person. It's got to be about, how can I genuinely help you? How can I be curious about you to find out more? And so that's the second leg. And then the third leg is understanding that you're reaching out to the right people. Mm-hmm. Who is the receiver? Who is the audience of that message, and who is it geared to? Too often, especially on social, we're talking about things as salespeople. We're talking about things that we want to talk to about. Our clients could care less about them. Right. So as you know, I used to write a lot about automation on LinkedIn and how terrible it was. And I liked it. All the other LinkedIn trainers that were following me loved it. We would love to get in our little echo chamber and talk about how terrible it was. Guess what? The VPs of sales, the CROs, the CSOs that I was selling to could care less. What they cared about was, how do I get my people to get more deals in the pipeline? How can they prospect better, right? So I had to change my messaging. So if you're in sales and you're listening to this, which I hope you are, and I hope you are listening to this, think about this. What is your message, right? So how is it that you help people? What outcomes do you help them achieve? And then how are you crafting that message and delivering it? And if you're only delivering it in one way, chances are you're not being as successful as you can be, right? So use multiple mediums. And then the third thing is, are you sending it to the right audience? Is it getting out to the right people? And and then we go backwards a little bit, back to the medium. Go where your audience is, right? So if you're in a B2C space, if you sell mainly to consumers, LinkedIn may help you, but really probably Facebook is the place you can be from a social standpoint. But if you're in B2B, of course, LinkedIn is the place to be. So those three things are really important in our messaging. And then go follow people like Liz Wendling. I don't know if you've had Liz. You should definitely have Liz on the show to talk about the messaging, how important it is getting our words right. Stop using words like, Brandon, I'd love to meet with you. Of course I would love to meet with you. I want to sell you, right? And love is one of those words we throw around. I say I love ice cream, and I say I love my wife. If that's the same type of love, that I'm in a lot of trouble. Right. So
either that, or you really, really have an affection for ice cream.
Yeah. I'll let that go. Thankfully, my wife is not in the next room. But we have to get our messaging right, and then we have to choose the medium that we're doing it in the correct way. So I hope that answered your question.
It does. And how do you answer the question or the comment of, that doesn't sound very efficient? We need to, and I'll just leave it at that, because you can kind of fill in the blanks.
And what I'd say is, so when you say that doesn't seem very efficient, what you're saying is, doesn't seem like you can scale that, Bill. It doesn't seem like that's an easy button that I want to hit, that I can then make millions of dollars. And you'd be correct. So you can be efficient reaching many people and getting a small return, or you can be what you would say is inefficient. You can focus on a smaller group and have a better return, right? Like that's the trade-off here, because especially in this social world, when you cold call me and I don't answer, or I do answer and I listen for a little bit and then I hang up, I see a phone number, I may see a name on there, but it doesn't really register. When you send me an email, I get so many junk emails, spam emails, sales emails. I delete. But when
if you even see them,
right?
How many of those end up in your spam folder?
Exactly. If you're reaching out to me on LinkedIn, on a social platform, I see your picture, I see your name, I see your company name. It's much more personal. And Todd Capone has the History of Sales podcast, and he talks about the fact that we as salespeople have broke every new technology that's come around. Right, the phone. Somebody had to come up with the do not, or with the caller ID, and then the do not call register, email, spam filters, and then the Spam Act. And now, as we're getting in, now we're seeing in LinkedIn, people are trying to use this spamming, this more efficient way of reaching hundreds and hundreds of people. And LinkedIn has had to say, this isn't what our platform's for. So we're going to come in with some AI, and we're going to start policing this. And listen, people are getting shut down on LinkedIn that haven't even broken the terms, but LinkedIn's new AI is determined they have. And so it's causing all these problems. Whenever we go to spam, we try to do this not spam. Whenever we go to this idea of scaling, we risk the fact of alienating a large portion of people. And I just don't believe in it. I believe in order to go far, you have to go slow. And that takes building a relationship, but it really takes a system. And James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, says, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So if you don't have a system in place for whatever outreach you're doing, whatever prospecting you're doing, if you don't have a system in place and you don't have that blocked on your calendar, then yeah, you're going to be looking for these easy ways where I can just press one button. It's going to send 1,000 emails and I'm going to get two appointments out of it. Or you'll fall for these companies that say, hey, we help companies just like you with lead generation. We guarantee you 55 book meetings a month. Like, I couldn't do 55 book meetings a month. Are you crazy? But yet I've yet to run into one person that said, oh yeah, I've used that service and it's great. And I've got X amount of closed business. No, the only business that they're getting are the people who are signing up for it.
Right. Yep, there's a lot of I don't know what term to use, charlatan, snake oil, a lot of easy buttons that have really big promises, and they even have testimonials. The question is, are they really accurate? And you said something in there which is close to my heart, as you said, go slow to go far. I like to talk about the race between the tortoise and the hare, and we know who wins. And diligence and consistency always wins. How do you start incorporating this inside of companies? Like, how, if they're buying into this, going, yeah, we get it, we've made some mistakes, we've relied too much on email and some other things. What are their first steps to start righting the ship?
The first steps is to really start building relationships. And the way where you start with that is with your client, with your current client base. When selling from the heart, when we come into a company, and you had mentioned sales enablement, trust enablement trainer. I say all the time when I introduce myself, I'm a trust sales coach, and no, that's not an oxymoron. And so when we come into a company, we start with client management. We start with, let's talk about how you're developing relationships with your current clients, because that should be the easy place to start. And because what we know is companies are doing a great job teaching their clients, or I'm sorry, their salespeople on process. Like, this is what we sell. These are the features and the benefits. And they do a great job in training on sales skills. Like, okay, so this is how you overcome objections, and this is how you handle the price increase, and this is how we come to a close. They do great jobs with that. What we find is they struggle, and sales reps, especially newer sales reps, struggle with just having a conversation, just with conversation skills. So one of the things we do is we talk to them about going to their top clients and just starting out with, hey, Brandon, today's the 30th, June 30th. So it's either the end of your fiscal year or you're halfway through. Tell me, it's December 31st, 2022. And what if 2022 is a success, what three things have happened? Right? So now Brandon's thinking. Now Brandon's like, this isn't a sales call. This is we're just talking. Like, wow, I never thought of that before. Finding out about their life and what they're going through, and just getting to know them, that's conversation skills. And so as we build on one level, then we go deeper and deeper, and we start finding out what's important to Brandon in his place in his company, but then also what's important to the company. And we start having these deeper conversations. And where that helps is, now when I'm going out and talking to prospects, I can say, as we're talking to companies just like you, or we're talking to people like you in similar positions as you, what we're finding they're telling us is this. What do you think? It's really about being curious and not being controlling. As salespeople, we're very type A a lot of times, and we want to control everything. That's why we have a sales process. We say, okay, you do step A, then step B, then step C, then step E. This isn't that, right? Your client has a buying process, and that's what we have to meet. So it's like, tell me about this. How is this working? It's asking questions and shutting up. And it's hard. It is not easy, especially if you're a salesperson that is used to following a script. This is not scripted. This is going to go in 100 different directions, and you have to figure out which way to go. And it's thinking on your feet, but it's exciting. And it's great because what you're doing is just having a conversation. What do you like to do? Where do you like to go? And taking it from there, we then move it into more of a business line, and you're able to connect with them. And now you're just not the guy or the gal that calls them on the 30th because you have a number to hit, right? You're having regular conversations with them, and you're brought in as part of the team and an extension for them. So and that's what, and do we get pushback on it? Sure, we do, especially for people who have gray hair like me. But once they see some success, it's like, wow, okay, yeah, this really works, because people want to be heard. Don Barden, in his book, The Perfect Plan, he talks about the fact that 10 minutes after you leave a presentation, people have only remembered about 6% of the information you gave them. 10 minutes after you're done, but they remember 100% how you made them feel, right? So they're always going to remember how you made them feel. Did you make them feel like this? Oh boy, how much longer is this going to go on? Or are they sitting down there to taking notes going, wow, like I never thought of this. Are you engaging them and being exciting and being educational? Or are you just, and then the next slide, you'll see the return on investment is 32% over the next 6 years. There's no comparison. So we have to really think about how we're making people feel.
Yeah. So I had a question a little bit ago, but I want to come back to it. Have you always been on this path as a sales guy? I know you've owned a few companies and you've been in sales a long time. Has this been a forever thing?
Yeah, no. So when I first got into sales, I was in the grocery industry. So this is in so it was in the late 80s. And back then, sales was all about, in that industry, sales was all about what you could do for the grocery manager or the store manager. And when I say what you can do is, can you get them first baseline seats at the Yankees or 50-yard line seats at the Giants? And that's was predetermined of how much you were able to sell them. It was not about the value of your product. It was nothing. And I sucked at it. I was terrible at it. I got either demoted or fired from sales jobs. Then I got into another industry, and my sales manager was very crafty. I remember we were saying it was pest control services. We're sitting at this huge Coke distribution and bottling facility down in Westchester, New York. And it's like a deal that would have set me up for the year. Like I would have hit my quota. It was like a 5-figure deal. And I was this close. And the last meeting, I brought my sales manager, and the guy brought the other company was doing it then. He brought the bill, and he set it there, and he walked out of the room. And as soon as he walked out of the room, my sales manager flipped it over, looked at it, and said, all right, we just have to meet that price. We have to beat that price, put it back. And a week later, the guy called me and said, yeah, you're not getting it because I watched you do that. Right. So there was there. And so fast forward to my wife and I starting our company. It'll be 9 years ago next week or the week after. We started our own print and promotional products company. I decided I'm going to provide value. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show my value. And so that's what I would do is I would go out and show value to people, and whoever raised their hand to say yes. And what I would do is, if you were a marketing person, so we sold promotional products, I would leave you a bag full of stuff. These notepads, these are mouse pads with like 25 sheets. I would leave that stuff in pens and really nice stuff, because we were always trying to be different. And I would follow up I would have a personal note, and then I would follow up a few days later and say, hey, Brandon, I dropped by and I stopped the other day and I dropped some stuff off for you. I hope you enjoy it. We work with many clients in your area, such as, and I'd name some, they value, and I would drop our value proposition. They value our innovation, our responsiveness, and the years of experience we have in our industry. Would love to get together. I use that L word, but I didn't know Liz then. And about 75% of the time, I got an appointment from that. And about 75% of the time, I got a sale from that, because people were able to see my value. And used LinkedIn then just to find people and to show my value. Then I got into social selling space. And I love LinkedIn trainers. I'm one of them. I embrace them. I learned a lot from them, but I got stuck in the echo chamber. And I got into this way of, this is the only way to do it. And this is and one day I woke up and looked around and said, this isn't it. This isn't the only way. We have to be able to use all the clubs in the bag and not the putter on the tee box and the driver on the, we can't get stuck here. And that's what kind of opened up. And I had been a part of the Selling from the Heart community for a while, and they really embraced this. And I'm really good friends with Larry Levine, and he would coach me. We would meet we would have these peer calls once a month, whether we need it or not. It's funny, now that we're working together, we have them less, and we're like, we got to get back to doing that. and we would talk about the different silos that are out there. And he really helped me to see that for social, it's really about showing up authentically and connecting authentically. If you can do those two things, you can be successful in social. And don't make it its own social selling thing, because what happens is people get paralyzed. Like, okay, so what about the algorithm, and when should I post, and what should I post, and should I do this, and what about this feature, and what about that feature, and listen, LinkedIn isn't, and that's what we talk about most. When we say social selling, we're really talking about LinkedIn. People make the mistake of thinking LinkedIn's one social platform. It's not. It's four. Just like an American football team isn't one team, it's four teams: offensive team, defensive team, special teams, and the often forgotten coaching team. LinkedIn is four platforms. It's a recruiting and job hunting platform. It's a marketing platform for companies to market their business. It's a sales and networking platform. And then it's a coaching platform where people use it to sell their coaching services for LinkedIn. And you have to know how you want to use it in order to know what features to use. And so whenever we fall into this is how we've got to do it, this whole one way, it just doesn't work. In fact, I'm working on a book called All Selling is Social. And I'm really excited. That's why I started the newsletter, because I really want to bring out the fact that if you're in sales, you have to find what's going to work for you and work that, but make sure that you're open-minded to the other opportunities that are around. There are people out there that didn't cold call, that didn't use any social. All they did, they were door pullers, right? They would go from restaurant to restaurant or retail business to retail business and pull the doors to open up and go in and get business. Well, in April of 2020, guess what? Suddenly we can't go pull doors anymore because there's no doors to open. Now what do we do? So if they had embraced other ideas before that, they would have been much more able to, the keyword from 2020, pivot to something else. So I'd say that this new thinking for me has come about in like the last 3 months. I'm happy. I'm excited for where it's leading. And I'm looking forward to help more and more people see that all selling is social selling.
Yeah, that's good, Bill. So I have one question that's just been kind of scratching the brain as we've talked, and I think there's probably a lot of people listening that have, if they're really hardcore in sales leadership, this is the question I think would be bubbling up. If we sell without selling, how do we ask for the close or ask for the sale or move it along?
Well,
because if we don't ask, we don't get.
Well, so we always are going to say, so we all sell. You sell every single day. You don't say that you sell, but we're all salespeople. If you're a parent, you sell a bedtime and you sell a better snacks than just the sugar stuff. If you're a spouse, you sell a place to eat or buying whatever that thing is you want. If you're an employee, you sell to your boss the idea of you. If you're a boss, you sell to employees about things. We all sell. And so when we say sell without selling, what we're saying is not being the typical car salesman of, Brandon, so what do I have to do today to get you in this car? It's that kind of high pressure stuff. We have to have conversations, and we have to look for opportunities to further that conversation. Do you have to ask for the sale? Absolutely. At some point, you have to come to the point of saying, hey, so Brandon, we've been able to help companies have more, train their sales team on having more conversations. Would you be open to exploring how we might help you? Right. So now that takes it to another call where then we start to really deep dive into how we might help you. And at some point you're like, you have to say, so listen, Brandon, What you've been telling me is this would help you in such and such way. Are you ready to let us help you do that? You're getting people to agree along the way, little small yeses that lead up to the time where they say, of course this makes sense. Of course I'm going to do this. Typically when we're dealing with people that can do things on their own, hey, you can do this yourself. Typically, and this is Bryn Tillman's closing, and I love it. And she got it from someone else. So, but when we're talking about helping people with LinkedIn, you can do it yourself. There's basically three types of people: people that'll do it themselves, people that say they'll do it themselves and won't, and then the third is people who need help doing it. And so, which are you? I don't like saying closing because I think you're opening a relationship, but how do we take the next best step? One of my greatest lines that I use almost on every call is, hey, Brandon, so what do you think? What's the best next step that makes sense to you? And I let you tell me, but I don't close the call without having another date on the calendar, right? And so that leaves out that dreaded F word email that you have to send, hey, Brandon, just following up, just circling back around, just bumping this up to the top of your, and unfortunately, I've had to use some of that language in the last week because I didn't have appointments set up, so I tried to show some value, but I had to say, I have to follow up with you on this. Yeah. And so, that's one of the important things is, how do you sell without selling? You get it to the logical conclusion where everyone comes to the same idea that this just makes sense. And I think one of the things that salespeople don't do is think far enough ahead. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to get to a proposal. I just want to get to this. I just want to send the contract. Let's take it beyond that. Let's say, Brandon, what's the next step? Let's get that on the calendar. I was just on a call before with this, and the woman said, oh, hey, so we want to know about more training. Can you send me some stuff? I went, I can, but before I do that, let's put a date on the calendar when I can come up and talk to you and the other people involved so I know exactly what it is you're looking for. We got a date on the calendar. I think, I don't know if that quite answered your question, but really what we have to do is make it easy for people. The other thing that Don Barden says in his perfect plan is, there's the three promises. We have to come with gratitude and being thankful for people for giving us the time. We have to present clear education. When we're selling them how we help and the ways that we help, we have to do it clearly. And what Don says in there, if you do more than 3 points, then for every additional point, you drop 25% in what they'll remember. And so you have to keep it clear and concise. So clear. And then ease of business. We have to make it easy for them to take the next step. And one of the ways I do that is asking them, what do you think the next best step is? And then say, okay, then let's take it. Let me help you take that. And when you do that, you're guiding people along, and it's like, okay, that it just makes sense that this is the next thing that we do. But make no mistakes. At some point, you have to say, okay, so are you ready to get started? Should I send you an agreement that you can sign? We have to do that. We have to ask.
Right. Absolutely. Very good. Well, Bill, we've been a few minutes over, which is okay. I tend to do that. But I'm very grateful for you coming on and sharing all this wonderful information. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been excited to have you on. Bill, where can anyone that's listening or watching right now, where can they find you and connect with you best?
Yeah, so the best place would be on LinkedIn. Just look me up, Bill McCormick. If you put Selling from the Heart in, I should come right up. And do me a favor, do connect with me, but please send me a note telling me that you heard me here on the Digital Influence Show with Brandon. If you don't send me a message, you will get a message back saying, why do you want to connect with me? Because I don't just connect with everybody. I want to make sure I connect with people that want to connect with me. So that's the easiest way, or they can email me, bmccormick@sellingfromtheheart.net.
There you go. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining today. I think this is such an important conversation right now, especially as we move, 2 years into this post-COVID world, which I think fundamentally changed so much about the way companies were trying to communicate with prospects and customers. And I think the easy route, what I saw, the easy route was make more phone calls and send more emails. And it's gotten pretty saturated. And I'm like Bill, I don't believe you don't use the phone, you don't use email, you only use this or you only use that. We got to get rid of hyperbole. But the big challenge right now is, how do you put systems in place that help you connect human to human? How do you demonstrate your value in a way that your buyers want to speak with you? Because if they don't want to talk to you, they don't have to. They have just as much technology to keep you away. So that was today's show. Bill McCormick, thank you again for coming and sharing all your wisdom and insights with us.
Thanks so much, Brandon. And thanks everyone for watching and listening.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Digital Influence Show. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.